everyone, welcome back to Storekeeper Homestead. So my name is Samantha and I want to talk to you about an invasion that's happening right now across America. And it is invasion of city living Americans moving to rural areas. Now I know you're probably thinking, why is that a big deal? Well, it is a big deal because when you come from the city, you're bringing all your problems with you. All across America, there's something happening. And it's happening more than people realize. And it is an exodus from cities into rural areas. So right now, California wants to tax you if you exit. Listen to this.
10-figure business. Now I decide I want to leave California. Now, I paid my taxes for the full 10 years I've been there. That's not good enough anymore. Now, they're going to hit me with an additional exit tax. California off the chain, man.
What does that mean for rural landowners? Well, it means you're bringing your problems with you. It means that you're bringing the same political affiliation that got your city in the state it is out here to the country, to us. Take a look at this poll that was done in 2021. Look at how many people moved to the rural south of America. That's me, you guys. And I see it every day when I pass big groups of land, 50 acres, 100 acres, and I see it being chopped up into small half-acre, 1 to 5 acre plots to accommodate all the newbies. So how are we going to handle that? Well, I'm going to be going to something called a police jury meeting, which is our city council out here in the country. And we're going to be putting forth legislation to stop large companies from coming in and chopping up our rural land into small, little neighborhoods. The bane of the existence for somebody who loves to live in the country. How do you know you're in trouble if you live in the country? Well, you get a generic mailer in the mail that says, have you considered selling your land in St. Helena Parish, Louisiana? Our family business makes cash offers on vacant land in surrounding areas. Then they promise me that they'll pay me $11,695.50 for my 2 acres if I will sell within 15 days. First off, this appraises for over $100,000. And second, I wouldn't sell anyway. But these were mailed out to every person that lives in this parish. 23,000 homes. You might be thinking, why would you guys want to stop people moving out to where you live? Well, it's a great question. One of it has to do with the way people vote. They vote for more control, constantly giving the government control. They want to see more infrastructure. Well, with that infrastructure comes a lot of waste. And let me show you what is currently happening in New York City.
Average rent for an apartment hit $5,600 a month last year. And since the housing crisis is still with us, rents are likely to be even higher this year, even to live in a building that's over 100 years old with no elevator. And the reason you still have 4-story, 100-year-old buildings in a city with skyscrapers is because these can't be any higher than they already are. No, because of zoning, these have to be like this forever, or at least without special permission from the city. And that's why you'll see something like this that looks like it's out of a black and white movie, just sitting on the side of a New York City street surrounded by massive towers. Now, I've had my real estate license here in the city since 2008, and although rents have always been expensive, what's crazy is there are fewer and fewer and fewer jobs that you could get which would allow you to move here and not have to have a roommate immediately. And that's because rents in these sorry old buildings are outpacing most people's income. In all seriousness, we shouldn't have these little 1-story garages on a street like this. But the reason they exist and this empty lot across the street exists is because building or doing anything here in the city is next to impossible. And that's why pretty soon the front door to your $6,000 apartment will have a no trespassing sign from Home Depot right on the door and no security cameras.
After seeing that, I guess you might understand why we kind of push back against the influx into our rural areas from people from the city. The main problem that I see, you guys, is that if you want to move to a rural area, Move there with an intention of being a good neighbor, or you're going to be miserable. I'm serious. People who live in rural areas, we're a different breed of people. We have firm boundaries, and we have to. We have to. But what we don't want to see are all the shopping malls where once was a herd of cattle. We don't want a McDonald's because our kids are already dealing with childhood diabetes and obesity. What we don't want are the conveniences that you crave, but you still want to live in the country. It doesn't work like that. If you want to move to the country, go there for the same reasons we avoid the city. Lack of traffic congestion. Lack of traffic altogether. The lack of convenience is why we're here. We are more apt to do it ourselves and to learn how to do it ourselves because we simply can't just run right down to the bakery. We can't just run right down to Walmart. So we learn to be more self-sufficient here in the country, which makes us survivors. If you live in a rural area, my best advice to you, friends, is to get your local community to begin passing legislation for things like the right to food, the right to grow food. Pass legislation ahead of someone saying what you can't do. So maybe in our small parish, we go ahead and put on the books that anybody who has the proper amount of land can have chickens, goats, etc. Where a neighborhood can't pop up 10 years from now and there be a homeowners association, an HMO, that regulates that people who have 2 or 3 acres can't have chickens or a garden or anything like that. Like, we want to get ahead of that, correct? So part of what happens in America is that we are behind. So we pass laws without thinking them through. They sound good, they touch you emotionally, like the right to shelter, but you aren't thinking about how that law can become a burden to the actual taxpayers and citizens of your country. Like the squatters' rights. See, those are not correct. They go against the Bible. So anytime someone wants to pass a law, and that law goes against God's word in some way, you should always vote no. Squatters' rights is obviously something that would go against the Bible. Think about it. Home ownership, land ownership, property ownership is a right for Christians in the Bible. God's word says, I will bring you into the land that I promised your fathers. I will bring you out of this land into the land. He's always talking about giving you land. So when people, the politicians, the elites, push laws through to tax land or to take away homesteading rights or to tell you what you can or can't do on your own property, that's a problem. So let's go back to New York and see how it worked for them.
The city's endgame isn't the only thing I have some serious concerns about. The other thing that's tough to swallow is that every asylum seeker is being exploited. And a great example of that is this hotel. It was bankrupt during 2020, and then the city came into a shelter. And you know what? This humanitarian crisis is the best thing to ever happen to this place. And the cartels are making money off all the people they bring into the country. Ditto the bus companies that were making bank off the Texas government. But it's not just the hotels and the bus companies or the food companies. I found out that even the company that's going to supply the prepaid debit cards that some of the families that live in buildings like this are going to get to go out and buy their own food, they make a percentage based on the amount of money that the city hands out. So even that business has a reason for this crisis to go on forever and to not actually have real solutions in place to solve it. Is it a private business's job to solve a country's border crisis? Probably not. But now that you've got money feeding into this system, there's going to be stakeholders that don't want it to go away. And that's a big problem. Will it destroy the city? Well, maybe not, but it's certainly going to change it.
What is he saying there? What he's saying that, like the homeless crisis in the video I put out for you, telling you they're never going to solve it because there's too much money involved. A lot of laws that get passed, the right to shelter, squatters' rights, not being able to defend your actual property. Like, I'm supposed to allow someone to come threaten me on my own property and not use lethal force to remove them. Like, some states say, no, you can only use the amount of force that was against you. Well, I'm a woman. So if a man or men or women come on the property and threaten me and my life, I'm not going to wait to see how far that escalates. I'm going to use more force than what you brought here to remove you for my safety. So see, now laws are looking to defend the people who were in the wrong. They have strayed from the Holy Bible and what God teaches us about right and wrong. In Louisiana, if you come on my property and I tell you to leave and you do not, you're going to be arrested. That's the minimum of what's going to happen to you. You have no rights. And that is how it should be, because you don't belong here. And I think you're going to see more and more people leaving the cities, flooding into the country to get away from the craziness, to get away from the illegal. Let's be honest. They don't want to be around the illegals, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. You don't know who those people are. You don't know who they are at all. But here's the problem that I see. You're going to come here where we live, want to push your beliefs into ours. You're going to want to control how we live. Because people in cities, well, let's just be honest. You like all those controls. You like all that government handout. And we in the country, not so much. Not so much. And the reason I know that people in the city like all that is because you keep voting for it.
Every outcome we've just discussed is the result of a bad reactive decision, because the city guaranteed people a right to shelter without planning for situations like what we're encountering today. And look at this, city leaders aren't stupid. The mayor knows right to shelter is going to bankrupt the city. He's even said as much. But even now, he's not asking for it to be eliminated, just adjusted, and he won't say specifically what those adjustments are. So he could mean anything. We have no idea. But that's probably because 80% of the city is in favor of right to shelter, as it keeps people from sleeping on the streets, which would be horrible. Nobody wants to see that. But when I take a step back and I look at how the city's handling the asylum crisis, it makes me think the city's putting itself in a position where it's just going to have to keep cutting its spending in order to balance its budget, because the city can't spend money that it doesn't have.
80% of New Yorkers are still in favor of the right to shelter. Look. Out here in the country, we have homeless people. Steven and I saw them one night. My husband went home and got the 2 brand new sleeping bags that we had purchased and brought it to them because it was like 22 degrees that night. We didn't invite them into our house. We didn't welcome them into our community, but we brought them MREs, bottled water, and sleeping bags because that is humane. We don't owe them anything. They were adults who had made poor choices in life. So how about this? Let's make a compromise. If you choose to move out here to the country and live a rural lifestyle, how about you leave everything that you liked about the city behind you? And we will do what we always do, and that is welcome you with open arms, because that's how country people are. And if you live in the country already, do what you can to protect it. Do what you can to protect it. Get some laws on the book. Get some right to food legislation passed. If not you, who? You can't always put it to somebody else. You can't always expect somebody else to be looking out for your best interest. Protect the land in your community. However, you have to do that, because trust me now, the exodus has just begun. People thought a lot of people moved during COVID. Look at this. A lot of people thought a lot of people moved with this invasion of the illegals, and they are. But it's only the beginning. They're not going to stop coming. So you, as a concerned citizen, must get in front of the problem, or you're going to end up just like New York. So get in front of the problem. Get the laws passed now, when you know you can pass them, because you've got right-thinking people in your community already, before you get an influx of people from out of state or out of cities that are liberal-minded, Democrat-minded. They've already destroyed one thing, but they were blessed enough to get out and leave everybody else to deal with the crap that they passed. Now they want to come to your community and do it too. So protect what God gave you guys. That's what Occupy means. That's what we're commanded to do. To increase and multiply. To occupy. If you would like to support our channel, please drop something in Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal, because you all know we got demonetized for speaking truth. God bless you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please double check and make sure that you are still subscribed. YouTube is wonderful about unsubscribing people. God bless you guys, and thank you so much for rowing in my boat. Across rural America, we're beginning to see signs like that. And we're beginning to see things like this. One house after another coming in, taking out all the natural woods, basically, guys, they're destroying what makes living in rural areas the point of living out here. We want to be amongst nature. And what we're seeing now all across America is urban sprawl. As people exit, like a mass exodus out of the cities, what we're seeing out here in the country is a destruction of the natural habitat. One house, one trailer, one lot at a time, just being destroyed. For sale signs